Finally, ladies and gentlemen, Marcus Rashford is destined to leave Manchester United. Aston Villa are in advanced talks with United for a loan move with an option to buy. That is what they're discussing. I'm going to give you the details, but it's not only that. Patrick Dorgu is in Manchester. Meanwhile, Eden Heaven has been signed by Man United. Listen, what you call Saturday in your world is called Deal Day in Manchester. But what a day. Honestly, you know my sentiments about Rashford for a long time. Finally, it's happening. And guess who? Unai Emery has had a conversation with Rashford, spoke to him directly, and it is him that has convinced him to, you know what? Yeah, come on, I've got a plan for you. And he sanctioned the talks. You know what? I've always felt it that Ruben Amorim, even when he was at Arsenal, our rivals, I always liked this guy. I knew he had sense in his head. I knew he was a good guy. You would see that he deserves all the good things in life. And here he does it. Let me tell you this. Marcus Rashford has been the biggest single problem for Ruben Amorim since he joined Man United. He had to leave. He was the problem for Erik ten Hag. He was a problem for so many. He had to leave, whether you like it or not. For me, I've got to celebrate. Well done, celebrate. Like, share, and subscribe to the United of Sport as I give you this Man United news rush. Now, where should I start? A lot of things are happening. Rashford, so here's what's going on. So, after talking to Marcus Rashford, we've known that Aston Villa were among the clubs linked with Marcus Rashford and a move. And of course, people are sort of doubting if Barcelona can't have the funds, if Real Madrid don't have the money, rather, Napoli don't have the money, if these big clubs don't have the money to afford Rashford, how in the world can Aston Villa, all the way from the West Midlands, think they can afford Marcus Rashford, one of the highest-paid players in the Premier League? But listen, say thank you to Al Nassr and probably Cristiano, because I'm telling you, hadn't it been for the 65 million euros that Aston Villa got from Al Nassr for John Duran, I don't think Aston Villa could afford to even have a conversation about Marcus Rashford. But they have money now because of that John Duran sale. And certainly, Cristiano Ronaldo had a hand in it. Ronaldo signs players for Al Nassr, like literally. So, hey, thank you, Chris. Thank you, Cristiano. Thank you, CR7. Once a red, always a red. But on a serious note, guys, Rashford might actually join Aston Villa on a permanent after the loan move. So they are now currently discussing the details of the buying option. What would be the conditions and at what fee would Aston Villa buy him if they got to that point. But they are going to pay a significant portion of his weekly wages. Now, that was a burden for Man United. Now, what does that mean? That Amorim might be able to sign players who actually without necessarily selling Alejandro Garnacho. We'll talk about that in a bit. Let me just wrap up for you the news. I'll tell you why Aston Villa's interest in Marcus Rashford might actually save us from the possibility of selling Alejandro Garnacho because of PSR. I'm going to give you those details perhaps later on. But away from Rashford, who biggest story of the window, by the way. When this is sealed, it will be the biggest move of the window. But other things are happening at Man United. Patrick Dorgu has been on flight from Italy, and he has already touched down in Manchester, and that's him right there. The small image you see right there on a private jet. You know, United things, you know, we're big like that. It's big stuff, you know. Clubs these days, players enjoy themselves, private jets, you know. But that was Patrick Dorgu there, touching down in Manchester, pending his medical today. We'll, of course, get the images of him. His first interview will follow him to the latter until his very first game as a Man United player. And he said, while departing in Italy, he said, this is an opportunity, big opportunity for him, and he's here to embrace it. Now, he's not alone. Eden Heaven has been confirmed and unveiled by the club on a 4-year contract as a player who is not coming in the academy. He's ready to straight away train with the first team. That is according to Jason Wilcox. He has confirmed it. Guys, do you see why United still has the allure for good, promising young players? Because we promise them to train, to develop them with the senior team. All players want that. So Eden Heaven from Arsenal joins the team, and he's now considered a first team player. But again, more stuff is happening at Man United. Just as Patrick Dorgu is arriving, Tyrell Malacia is destined to leave. I have told you before that as Dorgu arrives, someone has got to leave. Now, Tyrell Malacia is in advanced talks with Benfica to move away on loan. Yes, Benfica is destined to take Tyrell Malacia away on loan. He has accepted it, and now the talks are going on between Manchester United and Benfica on the structure of the loan move, because the player is open to it. Do you see things happening? I love the fact that, when last did we listen or did we see Manchester United do things, so fast? They're handling so many things. Now, that's not the end of it. It's not all. That is not all, guys. It is not all at all. So, even Matthew Stell, Man United, Matthew Stell, first of all, is not in the Bayern Munich squad today. Now, according to what we get, Tell is assessing his options, and Manchester United's proposal is the one he's giving most of the time. He seems to be very excited. I told you before that he told people close to him that he would relish the idea of joining Manchester United. So Matthew Stell, there could be more good news, guys. When good news comes, it doesn't come in bits, Good news comes in threes. So trust me, as Dorgu comes, as Malacia leaves, as we sign heaven, as Marcus Rashford departs, let me tell you, Matthew Stell is most likely going to be the other surprise package. What a transfer window this would be for Ruben Amorim. Not the best in history, but it would be, for me, a very, very successful transfer window for Amorim if it is sealed with not just the departure of Marcus Rashford, but also the arrival of Matthew Stell. So things are happening, guys. Big things popping, real things stepping. Big things are popping for Manchester United. It's deal day, ladies and gentlemen. And as it clearly is, like as we're seeing it, it's not only one deal, several deals. But listen, a few years ago, with I think 2-3 years ago, with Mikel Arteta at the helm of Arsenal had the youngest squad, I think, in England, if not in Europe, one of in the top leagues in Europe in terms of average age. I'm telling you, by the summer, by the end of this season, Man United might have the youngest squad, because I'm seeing so many young players beginning to step up already at Man United. The Kobes, the Garnachos, the Amads are stepping up, the Lenny Yoros, the Toby Colliers, but we're also bringing in more young players who clearly will be fitting into the first team. For me, this is a good sign that our rebuild is taking shape, because one of the biggest problems United had for a long time was so many old players. We had one old player too many. It was sickening to see players who could barely run, yet they're on crazy wages. The youngins are taking over, and trust you me, we've got to trust them. If we do that, it's within no time, Man United will be back and competing. This is the United Sport. Today is deal day, and what a day. Rashford is finally leaving. Wow.